Imagine the pain of losing your son, a Marine, 2 years ago in 2023, and you receive his brain in an unmarked box. That's what happened to Lawrence and Abby Butler. Take a look.
Tim was the baby boy and was a good young man.
56-year-old Tim Garlington was a Marine veteran who was born and raised in Philadelphia before he moved to Georgia. It's where he died nearly 2 years ago. But his parents, Lawrence and Abby Butler, were determined to have him buried in his hometown. The Butlers later hired Philadelphia-based Nix and Nix Funeral Homes and also Georgia-based Southern Cremations and Funerals to handle his remains. But now the family has filed a lawsuit accusing them both of gross negligence after their son's belongings included this box that allegedly had his brain inside.
It was, and it is, still in my heart.
There's no excuse. There is zero excuse for this type of error to happen.
L. Chris Stewart, the attorney representing the family, says the box was not included in their son's list of personal items. He says the family, unaware of what was inside, took it and left it in the car for days until it began to smell. Lawrence was the one who found it.
I got in my car and I smelled death.
This was a deliberate, despicable act by these two funeral homes. This thing was shipped with no label. And why are you shipping a brain to parents of a son that they lost? Because even according to the processes, a brain wouldn't be separated and shipped. And even if it was, for whatever reason, which I can't even imagine, there would be a label that would clearly state that it was a biohazard item in the box. But to ship something with no label on it? Come on. This is dirty work. This is people or organizations that really do not like Black people. And that's all it boils down to. This is a very, very serious act of anti-Black hate. It is despicable. It is disgusting. It is the peak of dirty work. I'm beyond enraged about this. Beyond enraged about this. You can see how upset and emotional this man's father is. So this man, he's 56-year-old Timothy Garlington, and he passed away in November 2023 in Georgia. And his remains were shipped over to Pennsylvania so that they can, make the obvious arrangements for him. Now, the two funeral homes responsible for this are Southern Cremations and Funerals in Marietta, Georgia, and Nix and Nix Funeral Homes in Philadelphia. And this couple, this father and mother, are suing them for negligence, as well as they should. And they should sue them for multi-millions for this, for emotional distress, for pain and suffering, for repeated pain and suffering. Because how do you unsee that? How do you unsee it? And as this father said, it was leaking. It was in a box that was unmarked. So it was sitting in the vehicle. And it wasn't until it started to smell that he opened it. So imagine the horror of opening that box and seeing a brain in there and finding out it's your son's brain. Like, there are no words to describe how these two funeral homes should be shut down, should be charged, should be arrested. Every person involved in this should be arrested, should not be working at a funeral home ever again. Like, how? I'm there, like, literally, I'm essentially speechless, but at the same time, I can't stop raging about it because I'm so furious. And I'm also heartbroken, for this father and mother. So here's the funeral home's response. Nick says they were unaware of the box's contents and reported it immediately and were cleared by the Pennsylvania State Funeral Board. Well, I'd like to know, who did they report it to? Because this father and mother didn't know about it. So who were you reporting that this was shipped out to? They clearly missed the memo. And the other funeral home, which is Southern Cremations and Funerals, are saying that they're pointing the finger over to Nick's. So basically, both of them are wiping their hands and saying, we didn't know anything about it. We didn't do it. It wasn't intentional. And, basically that's that. Also, neither of these funeral homes has apologized to this couple. Okay? You would think that, when it comes to funeral workers, they're supposed to have a level of compassion to begin with, right? You're dealing with grieving families on a regular basis. So you have to have a level of compassion and empathy and sympathy. And, it takes a special kind of person to do that kind of job. And so if something like this happens, you would think they would be running to the phone, to their computer, whatever they had to do to make this couple feel better about their colossal act of dirty work. But they've not even done that. Their lawyer said that this error basically added an excruciating memory to the grief, and the parents' last memory is holding their son's brain. And that's what I said. How do you unsee that? How do you unsee your son's brain? This is beyond unacceptable. Please, I really pray that this couple sues the pants off of these two funeral homes, and I hope that they get shut down. They have no business being in business, because this isn't a kind of mistake you just make. Like, who makes that kind of mistake? Think about it. Who took a brain, right, and said, oh, I'm going to put this in this box, and I'm going to tape it up, and I'm going to send it to these people? This is intentional. This is intentional. It wasn't like it was a piece of jewelry. It was a brain. And as I said, there's a process if you were shipping something like that out. And how do you ship it in the heat like that? That's why it was dripping and melting in this poor man's vehicle. These people are disgusting. You're disgusting and foul. Shame on each one of you involved in this. Let me know what you all think about this. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share this content. Also, don't forget to download the African Diaspora News app. You can grab it at the Google or Apple store. You will not be disappointed. Also, subscribe to my YouTube channel, Ansah Unfiltered. Until next time, please be safe.